Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about my most underrated players at your club. Some clubs I have one underrated player and some clubs I couldn't split it between two players. So some clubs I'll have two, some clubs I'll have one. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Smash that like button. I want to aim for at least 20 likes for this video. But let's get stuck into my most underrated players at your club. For the Adelaide Football Club, I've gone Ben Keays and Tom Doedee. Really hard to split. Tom Doedee just continues to go under the radar. Really reliable intercept defender, can play on all sizes, tall, smalls, and medium-sized players. Played on some of the game's greatest players so far, and the current players in the competition, like Toby Green, players like that as well in the past. He's tasked small players because he Pickett, players like that in the past. He's been on and done a great job. And Ben Keays is the other one. From the Lions, for someone who was delisted from the Lions, become a regular at the Crows, been a great mid for the last few years. I still feel he's underappreciated at the outside of the Crows, and thought I'd show some love to Ben Keays for his great work. Defensive, he can play as a tagger, kick some goals. He had big numbers in the midfield the last few years, but is now playing more as a tagger up forward, taking the club's best defenders. The Brisbane Lions, I couldn't split between these two as well. Darcy Fort and Zach Bailey. Darcy Fort, come from Geelong, hadn't done too well at Geelong. But at Brisbane, he's excelled every time he's played. He's too good for the twos. When he's played in the the AFL team, they're men's, or they're both men's, Scoops, you fool. But the men's AFL, the senior team, he's done a great job, serviceable job at worst. He's done fantastic, I feel, and underrated. Zach Bailey, that's when Darcy Fort's got a game, that is. Even when he's had good games, he's still been dropped because of the great tall stocks of the Lions. And Zach Bailey continues to go under the radar. You always hear about the Neils, the McCluggages, the Berries, the Zorkos, the Dunkleys now, the Ashcrofts. But Zach Bailey and the Charlie Camerons and the Hipwoods and Danahers. You don't really hear about Zach Bailey. And I think Zach Bailey's highly underrated. Kicked 4 on the weekend. He's always positive a few goals a game, around 20 disposals every game. He's a very highly underrated player, is Zach Bailey. For the Blues, it's Blake Acres for me. I mean, someone who's played the Saints and the Dockers, completely underrated. They got him for a steal, Carlton did in the trade period, and I said it back then. And he deserves a recognition. Great performances in particular the last few weeks. So, Blakey Acres, if Acres is space, and by so many acres, he is my choice for Carlton's most underrated player. At the Pies, I've gone Dan McStay. Again, like at Brisbane, was highly underrated. He was always behind Hipwood and Danaher, but to me, he was better than a number 3. And he's shown what the Pies have been out. Granted, they've been winning still, like they always do. They still got that hole there. Mason Cox, I don't think, is the answer. And Dan McStay is showing that hole. Hopefully, we'll be back in about 6 weeks' time. So, but it is Dan McStay for me. For the Bombers, it's Jai Caldwell, someone that came from the Giants. So we're going to pick up at the Essendon, a bit of a steal. He's been the Saints and the Bombers, Crouch and St Kilda. So then he changed his mind and went for the Bombers. And he's done pretty solid, serviceable. He had a good game against St Kilda when the team was terrible. He just flies under the radar. Pops up with a few goals here and there. About 20 touches. Doesn't really get recognised behind the Merritts and the Parishes and the Redmonds and players like that, and the Drapers. And he's getting recognised by me, and he's been in pretty solid play. For the Dockers, for me, anyone that knows me from my fanfare with the Dockers, it's Hayden Young and Heath Chapman. Dead split. 2 young stars who've been drafted 3 to 4 years ago, been superb of halfback. They are both, especially Hayden Young, is capable of being one of the best halfbacks in the competition in the next 3 years. That's how highly I rate Hayden Young, and Heath Chapman can be the same. Had a few injury niggles he has, but they are both roopers and completely underrated. Yeah, from the Dockers side of things, you hear about them and how highly they rate them, as they will, as you expect. I don't hear about it in the media. Hayden Young, Heath Chapman, they are freaking awesome, and I would love them both at the Saints. If you ask me who 2 halfbacks you would want from another club to fit in the salary cap, the age demographic, everything like that, they're the 2, Hayden Young and Heath Chapman. For Geelong, I've gone Mitch Duncan. Now you can go, Scoops. He's not underrated. He's been there for Yongs. Yeah, but every time they're being talked about, it's Cameron, it's Hawkins, it's Selwood when he was there, it's Dangerfield, it's even Guthrie. But Mitch Duncan doesn't get more of a respect. Even Isaac Smith, when he's come in, he's not really hearing about Mitch Duncan. So I feel Mitch Duncan is completely underrated. For the Suns, I couldn't split it between my mate Will Powell and Ben Ainsworth. Powell just been completely had horrific leg injuries lately, some other issues from injury-wise as well. But when he's played, he's been really consistent. May not always get the big numbers like he's getting in the last few rounds, But he's a consistent performer, locks down his defender well, and does a great job. Ben Ainsworth plays mid forward, can get you 20 possessions, a couple of goals a game, and yeah, he just doesn't get talked about enough purely because he's an interstate player at the moment. From Victoria, he was. So Ben Ainsworth deserves more love along with Will Power for me. From the Suns, for the Giants, Tom Green. Now, granted, people are now starting to finally realise, but I've been saying this since he was drafted. Tom Green was a steal for the Giants. Richmond are trying to poach him. Other clubs in Victoria are trying to poach him. This is one of those midfielders. They let Taranto go, Hopper, and there's been other players in the past. But Tom Green is the one out of all the names they've lost, maybe not Jeremy Cameron, but the other names in the midfield brigade at least, they can't afford to lose, is Tom Green. He's on par with Taranto, if not better. So they can't afford to lose him, and he's still, to me, underrated by some. Now he's finally starting to get the recognition, but he deserves even more of it. But he's a beast. 3 goals, 3 down the weekend just proves it. For the Hawks, for me, it's Will Day. Completely underrated as well. Only finally starting to slowly get some recognition. Young players, you start off his halfback, now playing in the midfield, and he's excelled in that role purely because they've lost some midfields in O'Meara and Tom Mitchell in the past. But then off halfback, they've got Scrimshaw and other guys, Lockie Bramble and CJ, Changworth Giant, and players like that, Sicily, and other players in that position as well. So he's had been moved to another position, and he's exceeding very well in the midfield. Is Will Day and deserves some more recognition. He's completely underrated. For the Demons, similar to Will Day in terms of only starting to get it, Jacob Van Rooyen. I said it in his draft year, what a steal that was for Melbourne at the selection they got him in. Playing in the VFL, dominating, but their forwards at last year with Ben Brown and Wiedemann is the other backup option. Van Rooyen wasn't getting to go, and he deserves more respect, and I feel he's absolutely dominating right now. Well, not dominating, but he's doing real solid right now. The form he's doing right now in the AFL, he's better games. I'm not surprised. I could have picked this last year before he even played a game in the twos all of last year. He was a great pick for me. For Melbourne, for North Melbourne, it's Curtis Taylor. I feel he doesn't get enough recognition. It's similar to Ben Ainsworth. He gets around 20 disposals a game, kicks a goal or two here and there. Just doesn't get talked about enough. I think Curtis Taylor is one to watch in the future. Continues in his young age at 23, I think he is, 24. He's in his prime now. See how Curtis Taylor can go. For the Power, it's Jeremy Finlayson. What a steal he's been. Mr. Utility, like Dan McStay, they can both pinch him in the ruck, and he's a good forward. Sure, there's some games where he's inaccuracy, but they can go that with every key forward in the competition and midfielders. Jeremy Finlayson is underrated still to this day, and hopefully Jeremy can continue that form. He's been really good. Good pickup for the Power, which I got for essentially nothing. For the Tigers, it was hard for me to pick a Tiger, but I've gone Josh Gibcus, draftee, highly touted in his draft year, but been a bit of injury form, was in the twos at the start of the year. I think he's underrated and someone that Tigers fans like and will love for the future. But I think the external people outside of Richmond need to start showing some more appreciation, and he's underrated is Josh Gibcus. For the Saints, my Saints, it's my man Mateus Filippo and Tommy Campbell. I couldn't split the two. Mateus is self-evident. I called him the X factor of this year's draft. He's showing some good form so far. But his form is showing now he's going to become even better. The form he's going at now is solid, really solid and good. Solid to good. And I think he can exceed that by a lot. Mateus is completely underrated right now. He was a top draft pick, so he's starting to get talked about. But in a few years' time, he'll be up there in some of the best players in the competition, in the top 10 of the comp. Bookmark that, Mateus Filippo. And Tom Campbell, I mean, I've said almost live streams a lot, and probably in my podcast and vlog episodes, Tommy Campbell is the best non-ruckman not getting a game at the moment. He's the best non-ruckman that's not getting a game at the moment that's playing twos. Lloyd Meek, I class him as now playing twos. So my other option is Tommy Campbell. He could easily play with Sean Darcy. I wish we had Sean Darcy too. With Rowan Marshall, completely underrated. Ross doesn't want to play the two rucks. Paddy Ryder, it was last year's two ruckman when Rats was in charge. I would love to see Tom Campbell get a go, proven in the team, but now with King and Caminiti coming back, that probably won't happen. But Tom Campbell dominates the twos. He's too good for the twos. He's always dominated the twos. And when he's been in the ones, through the Saints, the Roos, and the Bulldogs, and particularly at the Saints, he's very, very good. He destroyed Tom Hickey in round 23 last year. Tom Campbell is completely underrated, is Tom Campbell. For the Swans, I've gone Will Hayward. I feel that he doesn't really get talked about. Again, he's behind the peenies, the Papleys, the Heenies, the Franklins, I was going to say Cunningham, but the Rowbottoms, the Chad Warners, Parkers, Josh Kennedy when he was there, Rampy, Nick Blakey, guys like that. And I feel that Will Hayward was talked about maybe a little bit a couple of years ago, but now he's not really getting talked about at all. He's flying under the radar, and I think he's a really, really solid contributor for the Swans, and still is, and I still think he'll be a great player, their future, the South Australian. For the Eagles, I've gone Jaden Hunt. I mean, it was tough for me to choose some Eagles because they had a lot of young players, and I looked at the young players to choose. I could have chose Ruben Jimby, but top try pick, he's getting touted about, and the media is getting onto him straight away about how good he will be. And Rubes, who I had on my podcast, great person and great player so far. So I went Jaden Hunt from the Demons. Not many people talked about this free agency move for the 3-year deal, thinking, oh, another 28-year-old, no good, stockpiling on them. Jaden Hunt provides what they don't have. Speed. He's quick. His ball use is all right. And he hasn't had the best of games. He had a few good games what round are we now? 9's coming up. So rounds 4, 5, 6, he started to pick up his form, probably adjusting to the new side like they always say. He started okay. He's gotten up, picked up that form, doing well, and he continued to do it for us. I'm sure, no doubt about it. Jaden Hunt is the most underrated player at the Eagles for me. Following the Western Bulldogs, it was tough to choose. Because as I've always said, their midfield is stocked. Their forwards, Waitman and Norton, good. English there, Ruckman, good. The rest of the side, there's a lot of question marks. And someone who I feel could fill that void up forward in a small forward brigade with Cody Waitman is Charlie Clark. Draftee, been injured, just starting in the twos. Not a big possession getter in the twos, but that could also go with the flow. Some players aren't suited to the VFL as they would go in the AFL. Look at Cooper Sherman, for example, with Saints. So I feel Charlie Clark will be a good small forward for the future to combine with Cody Waitman. So that's someone to keep an eye on for the Western Bulls. The small forward from Victoria is Charlie Clark for the Bulldogs. Thank you for watching this video, guys. Let me know what you think of these type of videos. What other of these type of short videos would you like to see in the future? Comment down below. Subscribe already if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it. Cost you guys absolutely nothing. Please like this video if you haven't already. Wanted to aim for 20 likes, so go smash that like button. Subscribe. Until the next video, guys. Thank you and take care and go Suns.